Welcome to the gear room, and today in the gear room we are going to do a rig rundown. This is a present from Dimitri. There's Coltrane, and this is from my childhood door. This was outside my door when I was a kid. So, here's Jimmy. So today on the gear room, we're going to look at the latest rig rundown. So if you might recall, let's just look at Jimmy while we talk for a minute. If you recall, maybe last rig rundown, I had wired up my George-L cables, rewired my board, and then after that created a wet-dry rig. So I had split my signal so that the guitar was going into the guitar was going into like the wah-wah, or maybe the Phase 90 script. Well, first of course it was going into the to the Line 6 G50 wireless, and then into the wah-wah or the Phase 90. Then I was going into the Cali 76 compressor, and from there I was going up here where the tube driver was, the BK Butler tube driver, right? And then from the BK Butler tube driver I was going into the King of Tone, and then next to the King of Tone was this full tone ABY box, and so I was going there, and then signal A was coming out and going to either that head or that head as the dry channels, and then signal B coming out of here was going to the Analog Man ADRX20 delay and the Flint, and the Strymon Flint, and then that was going into the other amp, which was the wet amp. And then I may or may not have had this chorus on there. Okay, so, and I thought that was it. You know, I wanted the wet dry setup, wet dry rig setup, and I wanted, you know, those were my dream pedals. I had a King of Tone, I had the Klon KTR and the BK Butler tube driver. It was good enough for David Gilmour. By gosh, it's good enough for me. But then I randomly started watching Red Hot Chili Peppers, which is a band, you know, I always liked as much as anybody does, but never, I mean, I saw them live like in 1984 at the Catalyst in Santa Cruz. But anyway, I watched their Slane Castle concert, and I was just instantly back into the Red Hot Chili Peppers, into Frusciante's guitar playing. And he relies so heavily on fuzz, and his fuzz sounds amazing. And it just listening to them rock out reminded me of, like, you know, as a kid growing up, I wasn't into like the kind of blues rock I'm into now. I was into like straight on rock and roll, you know, and I played hard rock and I listened to hard rock, and the Red Hot Chili Peppers was like, wait a minute, my roots, you know, maybe my sensibilities tell me, you know, to have the kind of tone, I don't know, that vintage sweet tone, but my visceral guts tell me, dude, you like that heavy sound. So sure enough, I put this 73 Rams head on the board, which is Vic Audio, so built by a guy right outside of Phoenix, Arizona, like around Tempe or someplace. Anyway, he hand builds those. That's his take on a 73 Big Muff Rams head, and it's a real, you know, it's very, very accurate, very close. So I've got that Big Muff sound. So I plugged that in and played it, and then I played it next to the BK Butler tube driver, and I was like, dude, I can't argue with David Gilmour, but the fact is that fuzz just sounds so much better. So I connected it, rewired it, and then I thought, you know what, this the Boogie, the Mark 525 Boogie, is just sounding pretty dull. And I took it in and had all the tubes checked by Mike, the amp guy here in town, really wonderful guy. But no, he said he thought it sounded great, but it just sounds dull to me. So all of a sudden I thought, you know what, instead of wet dry, what if I just went all wet? So so what's going on here is that the blue chorus, that's a Moore Ensemble King chorus, which I think is supposed to be like a CE2 clone. It sounds fine to me. I like it. Cheap, right? $40. And then that's going into the Analog Man ARDX20 dual delay, which is going into the Flint Strymon reverb and tremolo. And then those three pedals are going into the FX Return on the back of the Suhr. So I don't know if you can see it. Is that a flashlight or something? But yeah, these two are going into the input and the output, and then of course the input is, you know, the FX out is going into here, and the FX return is coming from there back into the effects loop. And then the rest of these pedals, the wah-wah, the phaser, the Cali 76, the 73 Rams head, the Analog Man King of Tone, those are all going straight into the front end of the Suhr. And as you can see, the Suhr, I opened it up. In other words, I turned the volume up a little bit. It needs to be opened up. It needs to breathe. And the Suhr is then being connected to both of those cabinets. And so now those cabinets have changed too. The one on the left is a closed back ported cabinet, Mesa cabinet, and it now has the Weber Blue Dog in it. And before it just had a vintage, I think it just had like a Celestion Vintage 35 or something. And then the other, which is an open back Mesa cabinet that my 73 is leaning against, that has a Celestion Creamback in the back of that, or in that. There's my 73 Strat. I'm thinking about taking that neck, taking the body off and then taking the neck, buying a new body from Warmoth, but buying a body with a tremolo, and then I will have the neck of my Dreams on a body with a tremolo, which would be my Dreams. And I think I'd get a chambered body to make it lighter. So yeah, I'm thinking about doing that. Anyhow, let's listen now, shall we? And see how it, or hear how it sounds. And now let's see if we can make this work. I know. So we'll say that was part one.